as a way of generating a bit of extra income, I started building websites from the van while we were on tour. That was my kind of like first few freelancer gigs. And from there, it kind of took off once the band split up. Once we turned 30 and we had enough white hair to stop that. So kind of I started looking into, okay, what can I do with this web design business? How can I grow this up? Within the first year, I got to 6 figures with that business. Within 3 years, I had a team of 12 guys.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 162 of How I Built It, the podcast that asks, how did you build that? Today, I'm talking to Vito Peleg. He runs a very popular WordPress plugin called WP Feedback. But did you know that he also runs a community under the same name? Well, in this episode, we talk all about the importance of community in growing your business. Now, during this episode, we do talk a lot about in-person events, and as I record this intro, there is a global pandemic going on, so, well, there are not a lot of in-person events going on right now. But digital communities are on the rise, and they can be just as powerful. They can help you connect with people all across the globe. So take Vito's advice to heart, because it's good and important, and in these times where we feel a little bit more isolated than normal, know that a digital community can help you make connections, grow your business, and learn a little more about people from everywhere. This episode is brought to you by Ahrefs. Ahrefs is an all-in-one SEO toolset that solves that problem. It gives you the tools you need to rank your website in Google and get tons of search traffic. As someone who struggles with what kind of content to create or what's ranking best in Google or really anything SEO related, Ahrefs has been instrumental in increasing traffic to my website. Over the holidays, I had my best quarter for affiliate income because Ahrefs showed me my most popular pages and topics, and I was able to optimize my content and my gift guides and update them accordingly. I would have never updated one of my gift guides because I didn't think it was that popular. Ahrefs actually showed me it is my most popular page. Ahrefs makes competitive analysis easy as well. Their tools show you how your competitors are getting traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages and content that send them the most search traffic, find out exactly the keywords they're ranking for, and which backlinks are helping them rank. From there, you can replicate or improve on their strategies. Now, as I said, I don't think I'm getting significant search traffic, so I use Ahrefs tools to help find topics worth creating pages or content for. I can easily see estimated search volumes and gauge traffic potential with their Keyword Explorer tool. It's been a fantastic addition to my toolkit. Just this morning, I learned that my everyday carry post has been popular. Lots of people are coming. So I think it's time to update that because it's 5 years old. If you want to gain a following or just improve traffic to your website, Ahrefs is the tool for you. You can get a 7-day trial for $7 over at ahrefs.com. That's ahrefs.com. for a 7-day trial for $7. And if you're anything like me, you'll be hooked. Again, that's ahrefs.com for a 7-day trial for $7. Before we get started, I want to tell you about a new or newly redesigned resource I have called the Podcast Workbook. 2020 is sure to change a lot of things, including the podcast landscape. If you want to start your own podcast, but you're not sure where to start, check out my free podcast workbook at podcastworkbook.com. It will give you everything you need step by step to launch your show with checklists and equipment and service recommendations. It's everything you need to get started. And it's newly redesigned, so it looks a lot better, it flows a lot better, and it answers some of the feedback and questions I got from people who have already started using it. So go get it now. It's the free podcast workbook I put together to help you launch your podcast in 2020. And it is at podcastworkbook.com. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of How I Built It, the podcast that asks, how did you build that? Today, my guest is Vito Peleg. He is the founder of WP Feedback. Vito, thanks for coming on the show. How you doing?
My pleasure, Joe. It's I've wanted to come on this show for a long time.
That is very exciting to hear, and thank you. So we met kind of in real life at WordCamp US 2019. But we recently started talking because you started an online community. And what we're going to be talking about today is the important role that communities play in growing one's business. So before we get to that, maybe we can just go over a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, awesome. Well, I started building websites from the back of a van. Actually, I was used to be a musician, and we're touring the world, releasing albums, playing shows all over. And even though it kind of seemed like from the outside, like we were doing it, and the audience is growing and albums are selling, we were all dead broke. Mm-hmm. So as a way of generating a bit of extra income, I started building websites from the van while we were on tour. That was my kind of like first few freelancer gigs. And from there, it kind of took off once the band split up. Once we turned 30 and we had enough white hair to stop that. So kind of I started looking into, okay, what can I do with this web design business? How can I grow this up? Within the first year, I got to 6 figures with that business. Within 3 years, I had a team of 12 guys. And through the experience of growing and scaling up kind of fast, it became really apparent that there's a huge problem with communicating with clients in our industry or in any service delivery. There's always a lot of friction between clients and the guy that is providing the service. When it comes to technical stuff like building websites and stuff like that, it's even more emphasized. So to kind of bridge the gap between our clients and us, we created a tool that this is what we call WP Feedback. That tool started as a tool for us, but it worked so well, so I decided to kind of like release it to the wild. Once we did, it grew really, really fast, a lot thanks to the power of the WordPress community and the connections that I made within this community. The amazing people that help us spread the word and so on. We broke a record being the first company in WordPress, in the history of WordPress, that reached 6 figures in revenue within the first 30 days.
Wow.
And then from that point, it was like, all right, no more client work, no more websites. Let's focus just on WP Feedback. And that's what we've been doing since. For the past 7 months, we've been growing this product. Now we have a team of 10 people here at the company, and it's growing every day.
That's really fantastic. So first, I want to ask, what did you do in the band? Did you sing or did you play the instrument?
I was the lead singer and guitar player.
Nice.
And I was kind of the manager. I was what was driving this.
Very cool. I play the drums myself, so I'm always
that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So there's always one guy that is the guy that actually does all of the work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's like a group project in college, right? It's like there's always somebody who does the work and then everybody else just kind of hangs out.
Exactly.
I feel like both of us were the people who always did the work. Except for
I think so.
I got paired up with one person. She was like super type A and like had to get straight A's all through college. And I contributed, but she ended up doing most of the work because she needed that A. She was upset that we got a 96. And I was like, that is still an A. A is always good. Anyway, so this is great. So you started making websites. You did that pretty successfully, I would say. And then you created a tool that you that scratched your own itch, but as somebody who's been in the WordPress community since 2004 knows, it scratched the itch of a lot of people. And that's why I agree. You hit the nail on the head. You built a really great product that everybody needed. And I remember hearing about it like right when it first came out. Everyone's like, "Yeah, check this out."
That's awesome.
And it's exciting to hear that it was thanks to the WordPress community. So
Very much so.
let's talk a little bit about that. Were you involved in the WordPress community before you built WP Feedback, or was this something that helped you get really involved in the community?
Right. I was, but I was more of a fly on the wall than actual participant within the community. So, I was going to meetups here and there, nothing like religiously. I was active on Facebook groups for years. I've been doing WordPress since 2009.
Okay.
Like when you need to grow, especially when you're a freelancer, and there's no one around you to ask. Going into a community online is a very, very powerful tool for us. So that's where I learned. I learned through the community. But when WP Feedback came about, I actually had something to also market to the community, which changes your perspective of what it is, if you will. And when you approach it like that, then you start engaging with other product makers, product makers from products that I used for years. And now all of a sudden you're hanging out with them, and, podcasts that I listened to for years. Now you're appearing on them. So this is like, once you have something that adds value to that community and you're friendly, basically, then you can make a lot of connections that will skyrocket whatever you're doing. Going to WordCamp Berlin last year, that was like the huge revelation for me. I went there literally on the month of the launch. We launched on the 28th of May. And the WordCamp, I think, was around the 10th of June. So that was really, really close.
Yeah.
So like the buzz was starting to build when I went there. But while I was there and, talking up to as many people as I could stop along, the hallway track over there, that kind of just solidified how much powerful this is. If you think of working with companies like GoDaddy, like Elementor, like Main WP, like all of these massive kind of players in our specific space, you would think that this is something that you would only approach 3 years in, 4 years in to any business, right? To start playing with in these leagues. But thanks to the WordPress community, there was no barrier of entry. If you have a good idea that could provide like value to those companies' users that they collected over years, they are happy to make a connection, and they are happy to discuss and have a conversation around this. So this kind of like really emphasized this. That's from the professional point of view, but also from our side, from day one, because it's like a feedback tool. We gave a lot of emphasis of engaging with our users, listening to what they have to say. It's in the name. Like we had to. So like literally from even before day one, we had a Facebook group with people that were joining there. Now, 7 months in, the Facebook group has 1,200 people that are members in there, engaging, helping each other, and all of these kind of stuff. And that and the experience of what I saw from our users now reminded me of my experience as a freelancer and as an agency owner, and that's what kind of drove us to the next step, which is what we're launching now, with the idea of helping the entire WordPress community with one platform that is designated for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you said a lot of stuff there, but I didn't want to stop you because I thought it was it was very well told. I feel like you did a good job telling that story.
Awesome.
But so before WP Feedback, you were more of a fly on the wall. You went to meetups and talked in Facebook groups. But I like what you said, that kind of once you launched or were launching WP Feedback, you had something to market to the community. And this is important for a couple of reasons, because I think your approach was the right approach, right? You didn't just like jump in and go like, hey, look at my product. You were kind of already involved, and you knew how to talk to people in the community. The kind of opposite of that is we had, I used to run the Scranton, Pennsylvania meetup group.
Okay.
And we had people come, and a few times these people would just come and like give their card like it was like a networking event, but like they wouldn't contribute at all. They would just kind of, oh, this is what I do, and then I'm going to leave. And that
Right.
nobody wanted to work with that guy. So I think that contributing, being a part of the community, and then saying, hey, this is something based on what I know about the community that adds value. I think you really hit the nail on the head there.
We also did something that was really cool that I didn't see a lot of other people doing at that event, exactly on the point that you're making now, because I agree with you 100%. If you go to someone and you just try to jump in bed with them, it's probably not going to work, right? You got to ease your way in. Got to play the game, right?
Yeah.
So what we did is, like, before we launched the product, we had a bit of a survey that we did with our beta users,
Mhm.
and we surveyed 600 WordPress professionals to ask them how they run their business. The information was for us to see if my idea has merit, if it's not just in my head. Basically, market validation and a bit of research to see what people are doing. But the cool thing is that we got a lot of data on how the industry is operating in terms of what is the average business size in the space, what tools these guys are using, which is your favorite, what is your go-to theme, what is your go-to page builder. So once you collect it from hundreds and hundreds of people, then you can create really interesting benchmarks. So my approach to adding value to the community, instead of going around and giving away business cards, we printed out these guys. I think I have one here. Yeah. We printed out these guys, which is like the ultimate WordPress survey. And we just took all of the results from the stuff that we kind of like that people answered.
Yeah.
And just created a report. How many websites have you built in the last 3 months? How many WordPress websites does your team manage on an ongoing basis? How do you collect content? How do you provide support? What is your theme? What is that? And this is like when I kind of broke it down after reading the results myself, I was like, oh my God, I wish I could see that as a freelancer and as an agency myself, because it gives you proper benchmarks to your business to see what is actually achievable within this space. And we printed out 500 of these, and this is what I gave away instead of a business card. Of course, on the final page, I had a bit of information about what we do, but you start with giving value. Then, if people care, they will stick around.
Yeah, that's truly fantastic. And I mean, that's like kind of email marketing 101 as well, right? You don't just say, join my mailing list. You say, give me your email address and I will email you this awesome PDF thing. And then like that shows, hey, I'm not just here to sell you things. I'm here to give you value and quick wins.
That's exactly true. And that's where we got the strategy, I used to do this with the band actually before. We used to, we played the small stage at Download Festival, which is like a rock festival here in the UK. And over there, I even have that here. Like it's like a festival with tens of thousands of people, which are our exact target audience as a rock band at the time, right? And you want to get the favor of this community. It all ties up basically to what we're talking about here. You want to be in the favor of what they want, and you want to attract them to see the show and to buy tickets and to buy merch and to do all of the stuff that you're trying to market to them. So what we did is we created a few thousands of bandanas with the logo of the band and the kind of thing, like a cheap giveaway.
Yeah.
With the website of the band. It paid itself like during the first day that we did it by people going to the website and buying the t-shirt to match the bandana that they already have or buy the album and so on. This was like a really cool activity. And so I'm trying to follow the same step. A lot of stuff that I'm doing are taken from the music industry because it's such a competitive, such a competitive market. If you want to stand out, you got to really think outside the box.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, I think that's fantastic, and I'm generating ideas of my own now.
Right, great.
So this is great. You joined the community. You immediately gave value once you launched your product, which was super important. And then you decided to launch this online community. Now, before we get to that, there's a couple more questions I kind of want to touch on with.
Sure.
The connections that you made in the community, right? Because I'm all about building networks. I'm a bit of a connector myself, so I love meeting people. I'm super extroverted. But how did you approach people in the community? You mentioned GoDaddy and Elementor. What was your approach to being like, hey, I have this new tool. I think it'd be interesting. What was that pitch like?
Right. So before you pitch, you gotta, and it goes back to the dating game.
Mhm.
Now I'm married, so I'm out of practice on this on this field. But the rules still apply. Like you don't want to go out and say, "Hi, I'm Vito, and I run a software company, and how about you go to bed with me?" Right? You go and you ask questions. You develop the conversation. You develop true interest in the opposite person, like in the person that is standing in front of you, and basically listen. The core of the partnerships that we did, and all the partnerships that we did are out of what these companies are doing with anyone else. So everything is unique. Every opportunity that we got out there and made happen is not within a flow or a system that these companies have. The reason for that is that I found out what they're after. I asked them like what, and I still do that. I think that when we spoke, I asked you first, Joe, what do you want to do in 2020? You know? And I listen, and then I try to see where I can put myself in to add value to you while creating the collaboration for us.
Yeah, that's great. Again, you want to form a mutual relationship by going to events, meeting people, contributing, things like that.
But it's not, now that I'm saying it, it sounds a bit technical and maybe a little cold, but it's not. It's
no, you're absolutely right. Because, look, people who are in business are in business, right? I think that's a mutual you're not just walking up to people on the street going, hey, let me get to know you, so maybe you'll buy my product. You're going up to people, maybe a little bit, but mostly, especially at WordPress events, you're going up to people saying, hey, you've sponsored this event. Obviously, you want to get something out of it. Yes. Let's talk. What do you want to get out of it? What do I want to get out of being here? How can we work together?
Why are you here? That's such an easy question to ask someone at a conference. Why are you here? And it tells you everything.
Yeah, I love that. So you've decided to take the community aspect to the next level. And we're talking as a result of a call we had a few weeks ago as we record this, where you showed me this community and then invited me to it. And I was blown away by it. You described it as like a Facebook for the WordPress community, I think. Or I am describing like that in my head. But that's exactly what it feels like to me. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and why you created it?
Okay. So when I first joined the community, and as we discussed, that was like a little more than a decade ago. Mm-hmm. There weren't many options for WordPress. You'd go to the forums, and that's where you'd be. Right, that's the only place that the community hung out. But obviously, forums is so 90s nowadays. it's not really we're in 2020, and so the community has for the past decade has tried to find a new place. And you saw there are 180,000 people just inside Facebook groups related to WordPress. There's 70,000 people in Slack channels, 60,000 people in LinkedIn meetups. LinkedIn groups, 240,000 in meetups, WordPress-related meetup groups. No, I'm not even talking about Reddit and all of these standalone forums and the WordPress forum that is still kind of limping its way through, It was just too much, especially now that my day is mostly around engaging with the community, with our users, with our potential partners, with our existing partners, with people like yourself. That's what I do on Facebook or on Twitter or on or on LinkedIn. That's the only reason why I have all of these platforms. More than that, when I need to actually consume information, I go to the Tavern, then I go to WP Tavern, then I go to WP Mayor, then I go to Torque. These are, I think I told you, these are like my big three.
Yeah.
But why? Why would I go to each one of them and consume content based on just the relevance of what they decided at that moment, instead of based on the categories that I want to explore, like you do on Netflix, for example? When you scroll down, it's not about the publisher. If Warner Brothers release something, it's about, I want to watch a sitcom, I want to watch a comedy or a drama, and you go based on that. So I try to take all of these kind of aspects and bring it in. The main reason for this is because the mission for WP Feedback from day one was let's fix communications for WordPress professionals. For my position as an agency owner, when we started this business, I could only see freelancers and agencies under the definition of WordPress professionals. But now that I'm kind of more immersed in what's going on, I identify this term as a much broader term. I consider myself still a WordPress professional now as a product maker, and yourself as a podcast maker, you're also a WordPress professional in what you're doing, and the hosting companies are WordPress professionals in what they're serving the community with, and all of these people also have they're also touching this community from different angles. It's not just freelancers and agencies. So this platform is like our next level, how we want to fix communications for WordPress professionals globally, for every company that is out there, for every freelancer, for every agency, for every podcast, and so on.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smile and their product, Text Expander. Save time typing and boost your productivity with Text Expander. You know I'm all about automation, and Text Expander is a great way to get started with automation. It allows you to create your own snippets for repetitive text you tend to use everywhere. Add the text, create a snippet, and boom, save precious time and keystrokes. One of my favorite snippets is for my address. So instead of typing out my full address and risking typos, I simply type $ADDR, and Text Expander does the rest, filling in my full address for me. I also have snippets for my street, my city, and my zip code. But that's not all Text Expander does. With its advanced snippets, you can create fill-ins, pop-up fields, and more. You can even use JavaScript or AppleScript. Another one of my favorite and most used snippets is when I type PPT. That will take whatever text I have on my clipboard and convert it to plain text. So I'm no longer fighting formatting when I copy from a Word document, a Google Doc, or a plain HTML page, like a website. I also use it for common links, email messages, which I can completely customize with fill-ins and drop-down menus, and even date calculations. I'm currently writing a book, and Text Expander has been instrumental with that. Text Expander is available on macOS, Windows, Chrome, iPhone, and iPad, so pretty much anywhere you do computing. If you've been curious about trying Text Expander or automation in general, now's the time. As a listener, you can get 20% off your first year. Just visit textexpander.com/podcast and let them know How I Built It sent you. That's textexpander.com/podcast for 20% off your first year. And now, back to the show.
One thing that I would want to kind of like put, especially with the title of the podcast, I think that would be interesting. So when this idea kind of clarified that this is what we're doing, because we didn't really set out to build a social platform, but the market kind of drove us there. So when this idea clarified and I kind of accepted that this is what we're doing, I went out and I researched what does that mean? How can I make a successful social platform? What should I build into this platform to make it engaging and useful to the people that land there? And what I found is that the interesting thing with social media is that all of them do the same thing exactly, except for one or two unique features that each platform has. So you must have messaging, you have to have some kind of a profile, you have some kind of a feed or a message board or some kind of an area where people post stuff. But, if you look at Snapchat, the filters, the face filters and the stories were their differentiator. We even talked about Tinder, where you also have a profile and messages, but their differentiator is the user discovery, which is the swipe right, swipe left. That's what they kind of put forward. And LinkedIn, it's about the community, but it's more about finding a job, right?
Right.
Or Behance, which is by Adobe now, and all of these kind of stuff. It's more about creating your portfolio, but also engage with the community. So that's what we created here. It's not just about the groups and stuff, even though this is a huge part of what we're building here to make this to make it stick. The unique features are the feedback tool and the sandbox, which give us differentiation over any other platform that is out there. And the cool thing is that now that it's identified into a niche, we can keep building stuff that are relevant for us. Facebook will never do that. They will never build stuff that are relevant just to web designers and other people in the space.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, a common theme that keeps coming up in these conversations is you did a lot of research. I love hearing that because a lot of times, I mean, it seems like you've listened to the show, so you might have heard a lot. I just did it, and then it turns out people needed it. But the more I kind of wade into being a quote unquote real business, trying to grow my business, because I have actual stakes like a child and a house and another one on the way as we record this.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. But I'm like, man, I need to be a real business person. Research is super important because you want to know what people want, what problem you're solving, what audience you're serving. And you can't just do that based on your own headcanon, right?
I 100% agree. And I used to operate in the same way that you're describing myself. Being a musician is the worst product market fit that can happen in this world, you just do whatever you want and hope that people like it. And most times they don't. But you never change because that's selling out, right? But so in business, I kind of adapted a different approach just because with the agency, I got to see hundreds and hundreds of other businesses that came to us with their ideas, mostly stupid ideas, if I may say. And you got to kind of walk them through why this idea is never going to take off, or if it is, what we need to do to actually make it take off, So that rapid experience of launching websites every single month and doing not only the website, but launching the strategies to take them to market, that kind of it just created a scenario where I have a system that if I have an idea, I just go through this system and it just includes market research as part of it. You create a landing page and you ask some questions. That's all of it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going out there and flying around the world and serving people one by one. You just post on a few Facebook groups and get about 500 responses, which 500 responses. Sometimes it's the amount that people these surveys in the news channels, these are the amount of people that tell you if this guy is going to be president or that guy is going to be president.
Right.
So this number is kind of easy to get to, but it's deep enough to give you a real market image.
Yeah, I love that. And to bring it back, I mean, if you are involved in a community, you have the ability to do that, right?
Yeah,
because you're given a platform. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So we're coming up on our time here, and there's a couple of things I want to get to. First of all, I need to ask. I don't get to ask this too much anymore, but I do want to ask the title question. How did you build the social platform? Did you build it from scratch? Did you start with BuddyPress or something like that?
Right. So initially, we started from scratch. We wanted to build this on Laravel and React, like our cloud-based system, like our dashboard area. Mm-hmm. So we started with this, but it took so long, man. It took ages to do any small things that we not wanted to do, and as we were building it, and I was working with the dev team, I was kind of like, why are we spending so much time to create a like feature when thousands of people before us already have a like feature on a comment? Why would we need to build that? Why would we need to build a groups module? It already exists out there. And then just around the same time, a Body Boss, which is a great company, they launched a lifetime deal on their new theme, which is basically a fork of BuddyPress.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
Yeah, so they took BuddyPress, which was great for the beginning of 2000s, but kind of stopped there, right?
Yeah.
And then they just said, all right, we're taking over. We're taking it. We're gonna take it from here. And they brought it to 2019, basically, to make sure that something is viable. That gave us a nice base for what we created. But as I described before, that is not enough to create a successful community, because a platform like this gives you the social tools. It doesn't give you a differentiator. So now that's your job as that's my job as the as the guy that is running this show, to figure out what can we build that will be so unique, so specific, that this will be our title, not the community, like LinkedIn with their with their jobs, or like Tinder with your find a date. So for us is peer-to-peer feedback. People can go in, share each other's design, give each other responses. It works amazingly. I don't know if you had a look this morning on what people tell to each other, but it's incredible the feedback that people are giving. Super valuable from the first sentence you read. And that's the kind of impact that you would want to illustrate with these additional features. So anyway, to make it short, Body Boss is the theme that is powering this. We're also using Elementor Pro to drive all of the custom pages around this. We took WP Feedback as the main differentiator and the feedback tool, and we broke it down. We incorporated it in there, patch them all together, and 10,000 lines of code later, this is where the platform is.
That's incredible. And I've got to say, like, the feedback feature is really fantastic. I will certainly be taking advantage of that.
Brilliant.
So as we kind of come to a close on this episode, I want to ask you if you could give the listeners 2 or 3 tips for getting involved in whatever community they want to get involved in, whether it's WordPress or some other, the pen community or something like that.
Right. Number 1, find the events that are around you. That's the most important thing, because a true relationship starts in the real world. You can talk to people online as much as you want, but as long as you're sitting face to face in front of someone, it's not real. So that would be my number 1. Then try and find local groups, on Facebook or on any other kind of social channel, and make yourself known. Just be there, provide value. It's not about posting, "Hi, this is my website," and come in and buy. It's about looking at what people are posting in there, trying to learn what are their concerns. How can you fit yourself into what they're already thinking, instead of trying to change the agenda of the day. This is what we did with both of these steps here with WP Feedback. Instead of trying to force a solution on the market, we figured out what the market needed, and we just built that. And that's exactly what had happened here with this community as well. That's how you can get to an easy product market fit. So go meet people in the real world, engage online in these groups, go to podcasts and you do PR stuff. These are all stuff from the music world. You go to the shittiest, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say that. You go to the random, to the most random kind of radio stations, local radio stations along the road when you're traveling, when you know there's going to be 2 listeners, but you're still there doing your thing, spreading the word. That's how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. A true relationship starts in the real world. I think that's so fantastic.
Awesome.
Love it. So, Vito, thank you so much for your time today. I do need to ask you one more question, of course, which is my favorite. Do you have any trade secrets for us?
I'm pretty transparent about what I'm doing. I think I have a bunch of trade secrets, but I usually don't. I'm happy to share them. That's part of the kind of like the community kind of vision. I don't know. Nothing that kind of comes to my mind, but I can share our strategy of how we got to 6 figures within the first 30 days. That was kind of a collection of trade secrets that were all bundled up together. Instead of sending to my website, with the power of community, let me send to Vova's website, to freemuse.com, where I collaborated on a massive blog post over there. I think it's like 7,000 words breaking down each step of our launch strategy, how we did the market research, how we took the product to market, how we built the community around this, how we got press mentions and all of this kind of stuff. And since then, I saw a lot of people starting to follow this article and getting some awesome results. So I hope that more will do the same.
Awesome. Love that. So first of all, we are going to link to that article. I'll also link to Vova's episode. I interviewed him on the show. But
Perfect.
I also like, I feel like this could be a trade secret. I'm pretty transparent about what I'm doing and I'm happy to share. I think a lot of people feel like they need to
Right.
keep what they know close to the chest. But I've been preaching to my students and my mailing list, like, share what you know, because people are going to see what you know. And then if they need to hire you or buy your product, they'll do that. Because sure, I could watch a YouTube video on how to, refinish my bathroom or something like that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hire a professional to do it. So
Yes, I agree, and I think that it also goes to the fact that if you give people something, they would want to give back. And being business owners, no matter what sector and what kind of industry you're working on, we never know. We never know anything. We only figure it out along the way. That's how this whole game works, right? So I don't know a year from now, but someone already been there. And if I will share my knowledge with people that are a year back from where I am at this stage, hopefully that will give me the ability to reach out to people that are a year from now. And it works like that. When you send something to the world, to the universe, it comes back in the same form.
I love that. What a great place to end. Vito, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
My pleasure, Joe. Join the community, wpfeedback.co. It's completely free. It's growing really fast. We have some amazing people like Joe and like all of the other community leaders that we have in there. Anyone from Troy Dean to the guys from Codable that are managing groups in there, to Ivica and Davinder and, everyone is in Nathan and all of the guys. Everyone is in there running their own groups in their unique specialty. So it's the best place to gather WordPress knowledge out there at the moment.
Fantastic. I will link to that and everything we talked about in the show notes over at howibuilt.it. Vito, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks so much to Vito for joining us today. I really liked his story from kind of the beginning, right where he said he started building websites from the back of his van, some of the more quote unquote guerrilla marketing things that he did, and then how he built WP Feedback in less than a year to make it an extremely profitable business. I loved his motivations for starting the community and things like that. I am part of that community. If you want to join it and say hi, I will link everything in the show notes over at howibuilt.it/162. That's where you can get everything that we talked about over there. So thanks again to Vito for spending some time with us. And thanks to this week's sponsors, Ahrefs and Text Expander. Those are two tools that have helped my business considerably by saving me time and helping me write good content for people who are visiting my own websites. If you liked this episode, be sure to rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to subscribe to the show, you can get all of those links again over at howibuilt.it/162. If you are interested in starting your own podcast, like I said at the top of the show, check out my free podcast workbook over at podcastworkbook.com. And I think that's everything that I have to request of you right now. So thanks so much for listening. And until next time, get out there and build something.